5:30. I'll call this meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety to order. If you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Move next to roll call. Clerk Treasurer Aldrich.
Carol Traeger. Present. Dick Bradshaw.
Present. Move next, I will now open public hearing on the Okra Community Development Block Grant. Emily, you want to tell me what I need to do here?
Yes. Okay, so first of all, I do have a sign-in sheet that I'm going to pass around. I'm Emily Aldall. I am the Community Development Planner with the Kankakee-Iroquois Regional Planning Commission. I am writing the grant on behalf of the city that will be submitted to the state. So if you all could please just sign in. You don't have to put your address. You can just put resident, department, or whatever you want. But since you are present for the public hearing, it's one of those, it's a state thing. You have to do that. So the city is applying to the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs for a public facilities program application, which in turn is going to be for ADA accessibility improvements to City Hall. So that is what your program is going to be. The proposals are due to the state on December 1st. With a full application will go in on February 9th. So right now, we're still working with Mark to get some budget numbers. We're working on that right now. We will be submitting a preliminary budget at this time. Since we're still waiting for those numbers to kind of go down, we're going in higher because it's best to ask high because then you can weed it down, but you can't if you go in too low, you can't ask for more. So we're gonna go in high, asking for the full grant amount, which is $500,000, which means right now the city's tentative local match at the bare minimum is $59,587. That can be pared down because it is a percentage of the total project cost. So we just have to kind of wait for those numbers. However, keep in mind, this project is looking at the installation of an elevator to gain access from the main floor, obviously, to the second floor, and looking also at ADA accessible restrooms on the second floor, since none are currently within the building. That's the plans that Mark sent me right now. One of the items, Mayor, we'll have to discuss is Mark wants to additionally do a second set of egress steps. Right now, that is not considered ADA improvements because it's stairs. So that is something that the city, that the Board of Works, that the council will have to kind of decide on. There are 3 ways that you can go about getting that incorporated into the project. Option 1 is you do it now before the grant is awarded. Option number 2 would be we would complete the grant project, get it into closeout, get the project completely closed out. We get that final check from the state. Then you could put your staircase in. Or your option C, we can lump it into the project, but that project expense would not count as local match. It would be considered an ineligible project or like portion of the project. However, in terms of bidding, it could be a little bit easier because you would be able to lump the entire project under one contract. However, those stairs would still have to use prevailing wage. Since we are using federal funds administered through a state agency, we do have to use federal funds on the construction. We'll have to follow prevailing wage. So kind of keep that in mind. We can work through that as we get closer. I do know that the state does consider it to be an ineligible expense. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news on that, but
Would we have until, what is it, April when the funds are awarded?
No, you have to have that decision in place prior to that final budget.
Which would be February?
Yes.
Sometime?
Yeah. So keep that in mind. We'll work on that. Yeah. No, your final budget, everything has to be done actually 10 days prior to your public hearing, because those final budget numbers have to be reflected in that final public hearing notice. So I'll work on getting that information and we'll work together on that. So right now proposals are due December 1st. We will have a site visit after the state reviews the proposal. Jerry White will come. We'll work with him and the mayor, and whoever Board of Works Council members that would like to attend are more than welcome to sit in on that site visit. He'll provide feedback on the proposal to help prepare a stronger application that will go in front of their review committee when the application is submitted on February 9th. Awards are tentatively set for April 5th. That can change. We just know we're hoping and anticipating an award in April of some time. So we will have to have your second public hearing. I believe you meet, are you going to do February 6th or whenever we can have it the week of the application, whenever you want to have your public hearing. We just have to have it in before the application goes in.
Yeah, we could do it the first, I don't know if we meet the first Monday or if it's the Tuesday following the first Monday in February.
Why wouldn't we? I mean, is there a holiday or
We
something?
need to. I was thinking.
2/5. First, I don't.
Okay. Okay, we'll work on that.
Sounds
Yeah,
like-
that's, I mean, we can either do it that way, like if it fits before the 9th, we can have it. I just know with this one, with us working on the budget numbers, I want to be able to give us enough time, ample time to finalize budget numbers before, obviously I don't want you to have to meet and go in with final budget numbers at your January meeting when we don't have those right now. So I want to give you the most flexibility that we possibly can. So at this time, that's kind of my state spiel that we usually go about on the public hearing side. If there are any questions about the process or about the project itself, I can do my best to answer questions on the project, but since it is still in early development, I don't have a lot besides just your basic scope of work.
Would the requirement for prevailing wage eliminate all local contractors?
No, they just have to. We work with local contractors. We've done it. We do it on all of our projects. They don't have to be. They can be small, large contractor. It's just they have to be able to pay that prevailing wage.
You have that out at the airport, Dick, because that's an FAA grant, so it's federal funds.
Yeah.
So even though local contractors, F&K bids on it, then everything even what they sublet, it has to be the federal wages. It's
Yep.
got to be the prevailing.
Yeah, and it's something we deal with in our office daily. We have several projects.
Are they still requiring the paper trail where they come in like once a month and check what's being paid to the contractor?
We do it weekly. Yes, that's all handled within our office. And we'll actually work with Leanne. Leanne's done it many a times with all of the various city projects that we've had to do. We have a labor standards officer in our office that all she does basically is review payrolls and things of that nature. And then we work with Leanne so that all of our numbers are matching up. But that's way down the line. Right now our focus is let's get an application put together and getting a strong application put together. So. Are there any other questions? If not, can I get
Is this a
some?
perfect kind of a project for that grant?
It is. ADA accessibility projects. There are several programs under the state. So you have basically like your utility projects, which are water, wastewater, and storm utility projects. And then you have public facilities. So public facilities is lumped together. That's community centers, daycares, senior centers, libraries, fire stations, and any ADA accessibility. Which Jerry will come in and give us more information on how things are scored once the proposal is submitted. But because this is for ADA accessibility, you get an automatic guaranteed more points because of you're technically serving a limited clientele rather than just your general population. You're serving, so you score higher because of that rating. So you get a lot more points up front than what some of those other applications. And we won't know who all is within that program until after proposals are submitted. So we won't know how many other applicants you guys are up against.
Are there any certain types of changes for ADA that are more preferable than others? For example, is a elevator carry more weight than a ramp, or in other words, how is it looked at?
I honestly, I don't know that answer. I think it's just you are improving your facility. You're making your building accessible, which currently is not accessible. I mean, that's essentially what they're looking at is are you benefiting that clientele? Are you making your building better for accessibility of all? So I don't have a direct answer on that one because each building is going to have its own separate issues, so there's obviously going to be different solutions to
You're writing
benefit.
these kinds of grants all the time. Is this something that's been going on for a long time?
This is something that has come forward more in the last 5 years than what we have seen, than our usual. This ADA accessibility is something that we do not see in our region as something that a community will bring that type of project in. Usually our focus is on water and wastewater. That's like the more high level priority projects. But we actually just received funding for an elevator in Stark County. That they have an elevator, however, their elevator is not ADA accessible. It has multiple doors that you have to open, and it just is a big hazard. But they actually received funding from the same program to do a complete elevator rehabilitation. So, and it scored very high with the state, which is very good.
Do we have any other questions for Emily? Is there anything else I need to do?
Can I just get your signatures on a few things?
Sure. These are the things you emailed to me?
Yes. Let's see. And I'm going to also have you all sign. Thank you, sir. Do you have letterhead?
I can give you some.
Thank you. Yes, I have to have them on letterhead. I'm assuming, are you Mark?
Yes.
Hi, Mark. I'm
Hi.
Emily. I recognize that handwriting. Okay, this is your application submission. And here's your before and after analysis and your LAP that you've already reviewed. Did you already sign on this? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I always just bring originals of these documents with me. Just get these on letterhead and then just send me.
Scan too.
No, I have to have originals.
Okay.
I have to have originals. But just let me know when they're ready. I drive through here. I live in Flora, so. Yeah. Exactly. I'm a single L, although. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Do I need to open it up for public comment?
No, we've essentially kind of already had that. I mean, if you want to open it up
Is there any
again.
further public comment? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing section of this at 5:44. Is there anything else you need from us, Emily?
Nope, that's it.
Alright. Move on next to reading of minutes and approval. We have the minutes from November 6th, the regular meeting. Are there any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments to be made to that set of minutes?
I know we accept the minutes from the November 6th.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have the minutes from the November 16th work session. Are there additions, subtraction, deletions, or amendments to be made to this set of minutes?
I move we accept the November 16th work session minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move next to reading of claims. We have claims in the amount of $478,591.17. Do we have any questions regarding the claims?
Absolutely.
All right.
I don't want anybody to think I stopped reading them. On page 16, 17, and 18. What's the advanced disposal solid waste Midwest solid waste contract for trash tree service?
Trash service?
9,100, is that a monthly thing,
That's a
or
monthly charge.
is that always on there?
Yeah,
I haven't been paying attention, have
it's always on
I? Okay,
there. Comes out of solid waste.
what is that?
You're looking at me, right?
I'm looking at you.
Well, it's not mine.
That's not him.
That's your trash, that's your trash,
Oh,
your
oh, oh.
recyclables.
Okay, it is always on there, sorry,
Yeah, that's okay.
okay.
17,
17, longevity pay,
correct,
what is that?
per ordinance.
Everybody gets longevity pay?
No, only if there's a 5-year, a 10-year, a 15-year, and a 20-year increment where it elevates. It is something the city had for their employees forever. How many years you suppose you had it prior?
Well, we had a few years, then it was
It was
taken away.
It was taken away, and it's something I felt strongly about. I brought it up 2 different years in a row.
So that's the total amount paid, longevity pay for that period? And it could
Where are
include
you?
on page 17, 4th item down, it says longevity pay.
Well, you must not be on 17, because on 17, the 4th item down is the Department of Treasury. Well,
Yeah.
that's your taxes held out of the longevity pay, that's all
So
that
that's
is
the
there.
tax taken out of the
There was approximately out of general, $4,300 taken out of general. Water pays for theirs and waste pays for theirs. So the smallest for 5 years to 10 years, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think it's $300, and then from 10,
$250.
from 10 to
250.
15,
$255, $750, and $1,000.
Well, that's just the tax, that's all that shows.
yeah, that's your taxes on it,
Okay, on page 18 down at the bottom, the community center,
correct?
what's the Wabash River handyman?
It's Jeff Watson, so that's all the material he provided,
Okay. Is that part of the 84,000?
No. That's
you know,
with
that's in
funds,
addition.
fundraised.
So you're taking the fundraising, you take that and then pay out of that, whatever?
Correct.
Okay. I move we accept the, what amount,
$478,591.17.
Yep.
We have a motion to approve the claims. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have a second? Do we have any further discussion? Did you have any questions?
No.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, department head updates. Is there anything substantial you guys want to bring up? Do we have any questions for our department heads? We'll get a more in-depth monthly report next meeting.
no report from Steve, will we get that at the next meeting?
Hmm.
You did that the first meeting
Yes.
of the month?
Mhm.
Yeah, we get all the written
Okay.
department head reports at the
We have their graduation coming up on the 7th. You guys want to come to that? It's at 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning at the elementary school. Gonna have about 120 kids graduate from there.
Good.
That's when?
Hmm?
When is it?
December the 7th, 8:30 in the morning.
We got questions for any of our other department heads?
Craig's gonna talk, aren't you, about the some stuff.
Craig's gonna do a bunch of talking.
Make sure Craig gets a chance to talk.
Alright, we'll move to unfinished business. The first item up for unfinished business is proposal for expansion of Community Development Department. That's resolution 2017-1. Are there any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments to be made to this proposed resolution?
No,
Are there any additions, subtractions, deletions, or amendments to be made to Appendix A, which shows the goals, at least currently?
no,
Is there a motion to approve board resolution 2017-1?
I move we approve board resolution 2017-1.
And I second.
There's a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion?
Nope.
Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move next to Okra Community Development Block Grant, which we already had the public hearing. But we've also got contract with Curbsy and contract with Mark Maddox.
Our contract you cannot sign.
Don't sign it?
Don't sign
Don't
our
approve it? Don't
contract.
do anything? Okay. Alright, that'll work.
Yeah, don't sign our contract. And Mark's can only be for the preliminary. It can't be for anything construction related.
And I think we've got
Even though it broke it down into parts.
If, just as long as, we would have to review it.
Okay.
Cause it can't be, you can't sign a contract or anything dealing with the construction portion of the project. It can only be for preliminary design work at this time.
Okay. You got post-construction in here.
Well, I broke it down into preliminary design for $500 and then $3,000 for design development and construction phases.
Send us a copy and we'll review it. We'll send it out and see what the state has to say on it.
Okay. Are you fine with that? Holding it for 2 weeks? Would that be enough time?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We'll send it out and they'll review it within a matter of hours.
Alright. Sorry about that. So the next item of business, new business, IHCDA Creating Places Grant. This is a grant that was secured through the Trail Task Force, the Wabash and Erie Canal Association, and the Carroll County Chamber of Commerce, to make our trails and public places safer. I gave you guys a memorandum on it, but pretty much after the canal reviewed the contract from Patronicity, who is holding the funds for IHCDA, they talked to me and they talked to the Carroll County Chamber. They believe that the city would be the best unit to administer this grant, because you have to keep the files for a certain number of years. You've got all the record keeping requirements that I'm sure they do, but that we do day in and day out. And we don't have to approve this at this meeting. We can wait 2 weeks if we want, if you guys have any more questions. But what this would do, we would sign a contract with Patronicity. So they would give us the $50,000 to be held in our account. And then the Carroll County Chamber would give us the remainder of the funds raised to be held in our account. Then the Board of Public Works and Safety, would make all disbursements over $5,000, just like any other funds for the city. We would take recommendations from the County Chamber, Wabash and Erie Canal, Trail Task Force, for those improvements, and I know they've already started trying to get estimates for security cameras, lights, things like that.
what's the downside of that in terms of, it's just another fund to administer?
It's no grant,
Does it have lots of strings?
In your normal amount of strings.
It's not super strings, huh?
I'd say your average amount of strings. I don't know if your average amount of strings is probably super strings.
Have you looked at that, Leanne, and
No, I kinda thought Julia was doing it. I didn't know it was.
I mean, the Carroll County Chamber can, but they just started their foundation, which is their C3. I'm sure they're gonna have the record keeping in place, but I think we can do it more efficiently and through the city of Delphi. And a lot of the improvements are gonna be made on city property, or city property that we lease back to the canal.
So we need to approve this at our next meeting.
Yeah, we could, yeah, I'd prefer to approve it, yeah,
But this,
December.
you have the blessing of the canal, you have the blessing of the chamber, and you talked to the, what's the other outfit that, is there anybody else involved in this? Is there,
The
what's
trail-
the trails group?
Trail Task Force is made up
Task force.
of members of the public. A lot of them are associated with the Canal Association, but they should be aware. I met with, I don't know, 6 or 7 probably people in the Canal Association, and I also sat down and talked to Julia about it. I've also talked to IHCDA and Patronicity.
So
So
who's administering that one? No one?
which one?
This grant you're talking about that we're gonna take over,
No, it would just
does
be
it
us.
have to have an administrator? It does not.
No,
Not a grant, is it?
it is grant. So it was, it's a,
Grant with matching.
yeah, it's a
funds.
crowdfunding grant, so or whoever put in for $50,000, and if that amount was raised, then IHCDA would match 50,000. And I think a total of 170-some thousand was raised with the 50 provided by
Okay.
IHCDA.
And we're just handling the money, the ins and outs.
Yeah,
of
we would
of the
handle the money, would handle the purchases.
Another task.
I think we should wait till the next meeting and then approve it.
Okay. Is that all right with everybody? All right, the next item of business is Samuel Milroy between Dodge Street and the Viaduct. This is a project that we put into our Community Crossings grant application, our second application, which was the only one that got awarded. So what we've got, Superintendent Lyons sent out notice or invitation to quote to 3 contractors. We received 2 back, and that is Milestone. Their option 1 is $85,300. Their option 2 is $68,400. Then we got price back from Central Paving. Option 1 was $86,116. And option 2 was $69,062.
Which option we want? I mean, we,
Option 1 is gonna give us a sturdier road. We've got 2 inches of milling and overlay. Option 2 is only 1.5 inches of milling with an overlay. When we put into the state, I believe our estimate was roughly $95,000 that this project would cost. So both of those are under our estimate we provided to the state. The state will match 3/4 of the construction cost. City of Delphi will be required to make up the remaining 1/4.
where's that money coming out of?
I believe we're gonna be able to encumber money from 2017 to provide the entire match for the Community Crossings grant. So we've got 263,000, a little over, coming from the state, which makes our match 80-some thousand. I should have all this somewhere. I thought I did. But we should be able to encumber funds from 2017 to act as our match.
Has Aaron weighed in on this?
He said go with the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. That's gonna be Milestone, with the recommendation to go with option 1.
I move that we accept the Milestone bid for option 1 of $85,300.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to award the contract to Milestone with option 1 for $85,300. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
What kind of time frame are we looking at this?
Spring.
Springtime.
At the earliest, I mean,
We don't have any deadline or anything set on it?
it has to be done, well, construction has to start in 2018, preferably before we apply to the next Community Crossings grant, which will be in July of 2018. I mean, I think everybody in Delphi would prefer to get it done sooner rather than later. The next item of business is Heritage Drive concrete. This was also included in our Community Crossings application. So what we've got here is 2 areas which need to be saw cut, remove the existing concrete and the curb and gutter, and then replace concrete in that area. So kind of similar to the patching that they did on East Main Street earlier this year, end of last year. And then they would,
Do they grind it or just fill it in and make it smooth as they can? Is that what they did on Main Street?
yeah, I don't think this includes
Diamond grinding?
diamond grinding. Yeah.
That's pretty smooth out there. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think the first section is a little smoother than the second section we had done. But
So, do you have another, is this the only bid that we got for?
this is the only bid that we got. It's under $50,000, so we're not required to solicit more.
Do we want to make a contract for this as soon as possible? The same deal comes next week?
Yeah, I'd like to get all these out, just so we can get people under contract. Everybody's gonna start bidding for community crossings here soon, and contractors are gonna start filling up the amount of work that they can do next year.
I move we accept the milestone bid of $40,565 for the Heritage Subdivision concrete paving patching.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Is that probably something they'll do at the same time?
Yeah, well, actually,
Spring it, right?
yeah, we're gonna try to get them here as soon as possible, April 1st, if not earlier. Those 2 projects differ because up on Heritage, you need a concrete crew out there, you need an asphalt crew. So I don't know with their mowes, if it makes sense to mow both out at once, or if it's just.
They'll figure it out.
The next item of business I have is awarding contract for crack sealing. This was also included in our community crossings application. We have 22,206 square yards roughly of crack sealing to be done throughout the city of Delphi. It's shown in black on the map, which should have been the last page of your packet. It's like a colored map.
I know I have it.
It's all right.
I'll look at it.
Famous Solutions is the company that's done. They did the crack sealing for the city of Delphi this year. They did the micro surfacing. They're the only contractor within the state of Indiana that does micro surfacing. And I think they've served the city pretty well in terms of crack sealing and micro surfacing.